For anyone listening who doesn't know about the origin of the word WAG, can you talk us through it?
Oh, WAG. Wives and girlfriend. I, in fact, made it up. I was actually the start of that word.
What, you came up with it?
Well, what happened was, if you want to hear this tale, I could see the interest growing with the girls because we had superstars. We had Victoria Beckham, we had Cheryl Cole, who sang Ashley Cole at the time, married, and we had Colleen, New Girls on the Block. And I could just pick up on the interest because everyone, whenever I went out, was like, have you met them? What are they like? You know, where did they get that handbag? And I thought, we're onto something here. And then my friend happened to be trying to find the house. He said, I'm trying to find the house for this England boss or someone. I said, who is it? He went, oh, his name's Sven or something. I was like, there's only one Sven, right? So I said, you've got to give me his number. He said, I can't, Lizzie, I can't give out numbers. I said, so where's the house? He's like, oh, it's Belgravia. And he goes, no, you're not getting in. So I said, look, can you give him my number then? Because I said, I understand you won't give out numbers. So he gave my number. I thought, probably won't ring. But he did. And I met with Sven and I said, look, I really want to come out and I want to interview the girls. And he said, why? And I said, because I think they are going to be the superstars and it will take the attention off the players so they can get on with the real job, the football. And he said, genius, come out, do it. And then the sort of WAGs were born, the press wrote WAGs, and then it all went potty.
And what year was that?
That was in 2008, I think, or even 2006.
Then,
06 it
Germany.
was. Germany, Baden-Baden.
Baden-Baden, that was the pinnacle of WAG culture.
Baden-Baden.
That was the net worth of WAGs.
Yeah, it was 06. That was a long time ago.
Wow.
And you'd been a WAG at that point, married to Jason Cundy?
Well, I was married to Jason. We were from the age of, we met when we were 18, 19 years old. And he was apprentice at Chelsea. And and I love football. I love my whole family supported Chelsea. And my first date was going on to see Jason play Chelsea football. Wow. But I love football, but I also worked in television. I loved, I was going to be an actress before I got married and had a baby very early with Jason.
Did you see a shift in between when you got with Jason and that Baden-Baden? Did you see a shift and a growing interest in Wives and Girlfriends?
Yeah.
And that's why you were like, we need to make something of this.
Yeah, I could see the attention slowly since I was in football.
Yeah.
I mean, that was going back, when did Jason and I meet? We're in 1990.
Yeah.
And I could slowly, I know we had the George Bests with the Andrew Bests, Alex Best, but I could slowly see the trickle of interest. And I started working for OK TV. And then at the parties, they were like, can you get a footballer's wife? Have you, I could just feel the build-up of the interest more than ever. I do think it is a bit when Sky took over the football, the Premiership, and that big money came in. And then we saw a different sort of range of footballers were far more in the press and people had this interest. And I've personally never seen anything like it in Baden-Baden because it was like, when those girls came out, it was like the Beatles were there. Yeah. They were like the new rock stars. I've never seen anything like it. There were paparazzi falling over each other. You go to the loo, there'd be perhaps hiding in the loos, trying to, doing anything to get a photograph.
Did the girls want that? Did they want to be photographed in that way? Was it sort? Because you hear stories of like deliberately trying to walk when the paparazzi were going to be there.
I'll be honest, a lot of them pretended they didn't like it. They didn't like the word WAG. They felt it was degrading. But to be honest, a lot of them did love it.
Yeah.
And I knew, obviously, because I knew the press, there were a lot of setups and a lot of girls going, I'm just going to walk. Yeah. Oh, I need some air. And then they're doing a funny walk. And I'm thinking, hold on a minute. So there was a lot of that. And you know what? But I've never seen such excitement. Every newspaper, every magazine wanted the girls on front of the pages because they sold, forget Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. They wanted Stevie Gerrard and his wife, Alex. Yeah. They wanted, because they sold the magazines.
And why is that? Is it just glamour or was it something else?
I think it was because the ordinary gal could think, right, I'm never going to achieve being with a Hollywood star like Brad Pitt or someone, but I could achieve being with maybe someone like Wayne Rooney.
So it's like a modern princess story.
It's a modern princess
They're your
story.
Prince Charming. It's like your way out of a sort of working class life.
Exactly. And they felt, wow, I could have a bit of this. And they saw the big houses, lavish lifestyle, fast cars. And I thought, wow, this actually could be me. And and I have to say, not always for the good. Sadly, the footballers then got on the wrong side of the paper. They'd be on the front of the paper rather than the back, because girls would be like bees around a honeypot around them. I know if there was a game, say Chelsea were playing at the Chelsea Hotel, they'd find out where they're staying, dressed to the nines. These girls look like, supermodels hanging around the bars. And I just think, oh, God, you could just smell trouble was going to happen.
Well, that 2006 tournament, we was talking about it, weren't we? Of that, it almost kind of imploded on itself because the girls ended up taking some of the blame for the boys not.
Well, that's it. So Sven wanted the girls to take away the attention so they could concentrate on the football. He also was a real family man. He liked the women being there and he liked the glamour of it. And he did think it was a family sport and women should be there. If your partner,
supportive partners.
Yeah, you want your partner, if they score that winning goal, he wanted it to be shared with the partner. And let me tell you, the girls knew that the camera would go on them, so they got dressed to the nines, hair, the glasses, the bag, the outfits, and you got all this press attention.
And then what about relationships between the WAGs? Was there like a hierarchy?
Yeah.
And who was at the top of that and who was near the bottom?
Well, there was a hierarchy. Obviously, we had Nancy. I have to mention Nancy.
Yes.
Don't forget Sven's Nancy would get very upset unless, she was the top of the tree. And you remember that red cat suit she wore to number 10? You can't forget it. And she loved every minute of it, believe me. But she used to tell the girls what to do. She was kind of like the queen bee. But obviously then you had Victoria Beckham, followed by a Cheryl Cole, and then it was a new Colleen Rooney, because don't forget Wayne had just sort of was young then, back in
they were quite a bit younger.
They were a lot younger. He was fresh faced as she was. So they went down in degrees, and you had Ellen Reevers, who's still a great friend of mine, who was with Frank Lampard, Alex Gerrard, Stevie Gerrard's wife, but they had their degrees. But they're all lovely girls, but you knew their places. And
would they go out for dinner and get on as a group, or was it like the press made out and there was internal kind of competition and fighting? Not fighting, but kind of as you say, like a hierarchy and
look,
elbows out.
Yeah, look, I'm going to be honest. There was a bit of rivalry, okay? So you'd have one outfit and the girl would say, right, I'm going to outdo that outfit. I've got a bigger Hermes handbag than that. There was a bit of that. But they relatively got on pretty well. Mm-hmm. But they knew, gosh, if I am sitting next to Colleen, I'm going to get on the camera. I mean, there's a story about Becky Vardy that changed the seat. So she sat behind Colleen. So when that, obviously most probable that Rooney would score, she'd be in the spotlight. So you did have a lot of that going on.
And then is the hierarchy purely determined by who the husband is? So, a Beckham, a Rooney, a Gerrard is above maybe other members of the squad? Or was there a hierarchy within the group based on personality?
Well, no, it was mainly if your husband, say, was a Rooney, David Beckham, they're top of the tree. But with Cheryl Cole, she was a big star as well. Don't forget, big girl band with Girls Aloud. So she automatically was going to get a lot of attention. And Ashley Cole was a big name player, but she was kind of the biggest star. Yeah. But unfortunately, some girls, just liked the press a little bit too much and used to annoy the husbands. That's the thing. And some of them got quite, annoyed about it.
Like who?
Well, I mean, look, I mean, I do know Ashley Cole was quite a shy guy. He's lovely. I've always got on well with Ashley Cole. But he wanted it to be more about the football. A lot of the players thought, look, I'm not enjoying this. But look, Beckham loved it. They wanted them. Some loved it, some didn't. My ex-husband hated it. But I milked it for all it's worth. I could see the money in it.
So you saw it like a business?
I saw it as a business. I mean, I went on to do 2 shows, WAG's World, another show, football show. I did a musical, WAG the musical. I did a book. I mean,
cool.
because I just saw it as a business, and I saw the potential. And I thought, this is only I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
I really haven't.
And you've got the right to do whatever it is you want to do for a career. So what was Jason's view? Was it just that it distracted from football, or that there was something in itself that was, I don't know?
Yeah, I think
Troubling.
like Jason, many other players felt, why, really, WAG stands for why are you here, and go away. But it is just the fact that they were getting a lot of attention. They were the front pages, and I was working with OK, and I said to the editor, why are you so obsessed? And they said, they are money, they print money, and when we have a picture of a footballer's wife on the front cover, that sells far more than any other celebrity. So you have to get they get me to get the WAGs to do the interviews and the at homes with.
Do you think the public saw WAGs as like a gateway to the player? Like you'll know, we were talking earlier about how footballers are idolised in a way that very few celebrities kind of are. They're almost like seen as godlike.
Yeah.
And to if you see a magazine with their spouse on the front, and it's and they had a very honest way of talking as well, or